Okay, so this is the second day of mean, median, mode, and range, and we just want to go over a couple of examples, more like kind of real world examples now that we have the mechanics of finding each of these. But the quick do now with these numbers, it asks us to find mean, median, mode, and range of the following. Since I know I'm going to have to find median, mode, and range, it makes sense to order these right now from least to greatest. So I'll start with -8. So we got -8, -4. Then we go to 5. 23 twice. I'm sorry, 15. 23, 23. So the 15, 23, 23. I got 5. 40, and then 62. So for the mean, I need to put all of those values in and divide by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 8 values in this set, so I need to divide by 8. Let's see here. We've got -8 plus -4. So I'm going to use parentheses -8 plus -4. Whoa, that's good, Matt. Let's try that again. So we got -12. Let's clear this. You can see real errors in real time. -12, that's those first two, plus. Let's go 5 plus 15 is 20. Let's kind of do a little bit together. Whoa, we made 20, 20. So that was that. 23 plus 23 is 46. So plus 46. And then we've got 40 plus 62 is 102. So plus 102, close parentheses, and we're dividing by, we're not dividing by 4. Remember, all of our terms, we had a total of 8. So divide by 8, we get 19.5. So this mean is 19.5. Quickly, the median, well, we have 8, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I need those middle two, the average. So 15 plus 23 divided by 2, or just think what's halfway between these two. There's a difference of 8. So divide that, split it evenly, I'm going to get 19. So my median is 19. That's the value that's in the middle. Mode, what number shows up the most going back up here? I see 23 twice. And then range is my greatest value minus my smallest value, and that is 70. So a range of 70. And again, these are all ideas, at least these first three, of central tendency. And we can talk a little bit about the pros and the cons. If you look at mean, the problem with this number, generally, is that it's, since it includes all of my values, if I have an outlier, say a really small number, or a really large number, that's going to skew my mean. If we look at median, what are the shortcomings there, or the benefits? The median, at least, is kind of in the middle, right? So it doesn't really get swayed if I have a really, really big negative, whether this number is -8 or -8,000, my median of this set would be the same, right? Which that's not the case for mean. Mode, the benefit there is at least it shows the most common values of a set. And then the range just gives you kind of a sense of the dispersion, how wide the dispersion is. Okay, let's look at a couple of examples where we have some real world problems. So again, we're on day 2. If you look at this first problem, it says there's 4 students in Miss Phillips' class. The chart below shows their GPAs. If the average is 3.54, what is Taylor's GPA? So notice how this is a little bit different in that they give us the average. So we know what the average is. And we need to remember, how do we find our average? Well, it's all the values, so the 3.54 from Matthew, plus I don't know what Taylor's is, so I'll call it X, plus the 3.61 from Molly, and I'm running out of space, sorry, the 3.25 from Kelly, all divided by 4, right? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I didn't know one of them, but I know that the average is 3.54, so how could I solve for X? So think about that for a minute. Well, my first step to get X by itself would be to cross multiply. Multiply both sides by 4, and that will allow me to say 3.54 plus X plus 3.61 plus 3.25 is equal to this 3.54 times 4. Let's quickly do that together. 3.54, 3.54 times 4, 14.16. But then I need to get X by itself, I'm going to need to subtract the 3.54 here, the 3.61 here, the 3.25 there. And so when I do that, so let's take this minus, we got 3.54 minus this term, 3.61, and then minus the 3.25. And I get 3.76. So X equals 3.76, and that is Taylor's GPA. Now let's look back and see if this makes sense. Here's my values, and I think this is 3.76, and my average, whoa, that's a bad D, even a worse A, holy cow, thank you, equals 3.54. So before I was like, well, here's somebody who's right on the average. Here's somebody a little bit above the average. And this Kelly score kind of dropped the average down. So in order for my average to be 3.54, it makes sense that I need to have a big number to kind of offset that much smaller number. So this answer makes sense. Okay. This number 2, I'm not going to do number 2, but it's the same idea. You would add these plus one more, X, and he wants the average to be 85. So it's just like number 1 with some different values. All right. And you can answer as B and C there as well. I'm going to move down to number 3. The weekly salaries of 6 employees at McDonald's are 140, 220, 90, 180, 140, and 200. So we need to find the mean, median, and mode. So I know once I have to find median and mode, it makes sense to order them. So let's do that right now. I've got 90, a couple of 140s, 140, 140, cross those out so I follow what I'm doing, a 180, a 200, and a 220. Remember, I've got 6 employees. Do I have 6 values? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes. So A, the mean, I've got to add these all up and divide by 6. So 90 plus 140. Let's see if I can do this here. 90 plus 140 plus 140 plus 180 plus 200 plus 180 plus 200, and I believe the last number was 220, equals, and then I need to divide that by 6. So I get about 160, let's round to the nearest dollar, $162. So we get 162 for the average. And that kind of makes sense as I look at these numbers. I've got a 90 down here, a 220, so that makes sense. B, The median. I know the median is in the middle, but I have an even number, right? My n is 6. And since it's even, I won't have a true middle. I'm looking for a value right there. 3 that are less, 3 that are greater. It would be great if I had an odd number so there was a true middle. But I don't. I have an even number of terms, so I need to take the average of these two. So 140 plus 180 divided by 2. You could also just kind of look, what's halfway between 140 and 180? Hopefully you see it's 160, 20 in each. So this is 160. And then quickly, the mode, the one that shows up the most is 140. 140 shows up twice. So 140. Recall, if one of these other values, like 90 or 200 or 220, if there was another one of those, then there would be 2 modes. But here, 140 shows up twice, and it's the only number that shows up more than once. If you look at number 4, Andy has grades of 84, 65, and 76 on 3 math tests. What grade must he obtain to have an average of 80 for the 4 tests? So this looks to me like the first 2 problems where I would go, I need an average. So he wants to have an average, and they're giving us that value. So my average is 80, and I know to find an average on 4 tests, I'm going to have to divide by 4, where I have 3 scores, 84 plus 65 plus 76 plus x equals 80. And just like above, I would solve it the same way. I would multiply both sides by 4, and then I'd have 84 plus 65 plus 76 plus x equals 320. And then you could just subtract all these numbers over there, and I'll let you do that to find your last value. Let's think about what's reasonable, though. I want my average to be 80. I've got a couple scores below and 1 score above. And in fact, this score, 84, is exactly 4 above, and this score is exactly 4 below. So those kind of average out, right? The average of 84 and 76 is 80. So I could also play some number games and look at this 65. That's 15 below my average. So my guess is I'm going to need 15 above this. My guess is something around 95 is what you should look for. And that's about it for today. Again, just some real-world examples. Hope you all are doing well, and we'll talk to you soon.